In this video, we will look at the unsubscribe process. In other words, the cancellation of a previously connected subscription. In fact, this will be the last video on LiqPay for now. Let me remind you that we have already subscribed, and on the front end, in the app or on the website, it doesn't matter. Instead of the subscribe button, you have the cancel button rendered. That's exactly what we need to do here. As part of this logic, you will also have an additional endpoint API that sends requests to your backend and checks whether the user has an active subscription. This is something like getMe, authorizer, or something similar. Let's return to our onUnsubscribe method. It will receive certain options that we will define later. We will send requests to this address. It is written in the official documentation. The result will be a Boolean value and by default, of course, false. Now that we know what this method should return, let's write it here. Since the method is asynchronous, it's a promise and it's a Boolean. Yes, it will still be displayed as an error. This is normal, since it doesn't not yet have a return. Next, we need to prepare a payload to send to LiqPay. It will contain the action, which we will get from the options, the public key in env, and the order ID from the options. Let me remind you that order ID is a unique identifier of the invoice that was used to connect the subscription. Before calling these methods in your projects, you need to get it from your database. We convert it all to base 64. The next step is to create a signature. Just as LiqPay sends us data and signature, it expects the same from us. Create a hash, create a signature, private key, and in the middle is our data in base 64 format. Prepare a payload to be sent to LiqPay. This is an object that should contain data and a signature. We will send data using Axios. Let's import it. Of course, try catch. Let's call it. It will return status and data. Pass an object with the required parameters. Method post. This is a tricky header. The URL we defined above. Data, this is our pre-prepared data request. The data will contain the result. To understand what this result is, let's rename it, since we already have our own result. In general, even if we work in different scopes, it is better to use different names for variables, because at some point this will clearly be a problem. If the result is awk, then we write true. Otherwise false. Let's write a to-do to remove the hard code of the awk string. It's bad practice to do such things. You need to put them either in constants or in types. And one more thing, Yura is an idiot. Why rewrite the value false if it is already set by default? Add return result and lo and behold, the error disappears. Error section. This is where we will end up if the LiqPay server throws an error with the corresponding status. For example, all for hundreds. I'll put the console on for now. On live projects, we handle them accordingly, depending on our needs. And you can decide how to best to notify your user so that they try again later to repeat the unscribe request. We don't use the status, so we are removing it. All that's left to do is to specify the types for the options. This will be some kind of unsubscribe params. Create the corresponding interface. In our types, transfer the options. Action, we already have the prescribed actions. Choose the necessary one. Order ID, string. And that's it. As you can see, there is nothing mega complicated. Many payment systems work on the same principle, because there is no point in reinventing the wheel. That's all about LiqPay for now. It goes without saying that the link to the Git is in the video description. If this series of videos was useful for you, please go to Dobro.ua and help any child. This way you can express your gratitude for the free useful content.